I think that's almost surprising just reading it. It says, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there's no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear for the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. For he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be in subjection not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience. For because of this, you also pay taxes, for the authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing."
Right. So this is one of the main passages in the New Testament that addresses government.
I think that's almost surprising just reading it.
So, for there is no authority except from God. There is no jurisdiction except from God. So what it's talking about here is that we should be subject to God's correct and right ordained jurisdiction of government, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like this sphere that God is giving government authority to operate in. We're called to obey that. God's servant for your good.
At least he's supposed to be.
Jurisdiction is a servant of God for the good of the people. That's the jurisdiction God has established and we're called to obey. And then from that we have that he is given the sword from God. He is to be the avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. He's to punish evil, which also is for our good, so people can flourish. And so the idea of his being a servant for God's for our good, mm-hmm. right? So the point I wanted to make here, the good that government's supposed to be the servant of God for our good, is that it's supposed to administer righteousness, justice, equity, and every good path. Its job is to administer and protect rights and liberty. That's how it's administering righteousness.
Cool.
And then justice, that when these things are violated by individuals or even government, its job is to correct it and restore, and to do equitably. It's supposed to be non-partial across the board for everyone, no matter their religion, race, color, whatever. But that's God's intention, right? This is the beautiful thing about Scripture, is God's intention is that it is to be equitable, non-partial, that it protects rights and liberty and administers justice for everyone.
Across the board.